Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today is June 25, 2026, and we are scheduled for the previous conference of 11 civil works contracts. So before we formally proceed with our agenda, we will request Solution Mr. Ibrahim for our invitation.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
Thank you, sir. May I request the Secretary to call the roll of attendees.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. For today's pre-bid conference and for the future payments conference that will follow, here are the attendees. Attorney Jahara A. Alim Kadato, the back chairperson. Engineer Mashludin Sarsat Ibrahim, the back vice chairperson. Engineer Ano San Lakaya, back protection manager. Engineer Basidi M. Makonang, back additional manager, representing. There's Khan, human designer. Engineer Roberto Gabriel Pandato Capulong for the Planning and Design Divisions. Engineer Jessica Romano, back secretariat. Engineer Alpha Malanzarte, back field GDG. Engineer Vanessa J. Pinata. Engineer Janela Merlin. Also joining us via Zoom is the representative of our National Authority, we have Ma'am Aisa. Also joining us today are several representatives from different construction firms, starting with Ma'am Judith Aina from Pascar Construction, joining us via Zoom. Engineer John Agustin from the Dase Construction Services. Ma'am Mary Maxine A. Nicolas from Royal CK Construction and Allied Services. Ma'am Christine Joy Valenzuela from Eurosa Construction. Ma'am Laila Lapis from Eurosa Construction. Sir Ronel D. Sabandal from Angkor Construction. Engineer Rodolfo Akmal from Ford Construction. Ma'am Sandra C. Lido from Kael Construction. Ma'am Rohaida Adam from KRC. Ma'am Joanna Rosas and Ma'am Irene Grace Panay from Royal City Construction. That will
Thank you, Engineer Janela. So by the way, can we confirm if we have invited servers from the private sectors and engineers?
Yes, I really have some presentations to relate.
So please put it in record that we have invited observers from the private sectors and NGOs, but not attended today's conference. But nonetheless, attendance to today's proceeding shall not nullify the back activities. We request also the secretary to keep the files of our invitation for observers for reference purposes. So we determine whether we have a quorum for purposes of the requirement of the civil works for the maintenance of the end user. We have all the back members in attendance. And for the projects with the construction division and the end user, we have 4 out of 5 members in attendance. So with that, I hereby declare this back activities for the pre-bid conference and pre-bid conference in formal conference. So the outline for the agenda for the pre-bid conference. So by the way, the pre-bid conference civil works projects are 25 MO 00136, construction of multi-purpose building in City Hall, Barangay Barurao, Sultan Sabalos, Maguindanao del Sur. 25MO00219, construction of multi-purpose building, covered court, Barangay Duaguinama, Datupiang, Maguindanao. 25MO0205, construction of multi-purpose building, covered court, Barangay Pura, Datublas, Squat, Maguindanao. 25MO0193, construction of multi-purpose building, covered court, Barangay Dutupan, Municipality of Malindago, Cotabato. 25MO0194, construction of multi-purpose building, covered court, Barangay Nabalawag, Municipality of Nabalawag, Cotabato. 25MO0235, concluding of Purok 3, Tambak Road, Barangay Bagumbayan, Tulunan, North Cotabato. 25MO0048, construction of supply storage, General Santos City, South Cotabato. 25MO0049, construction of hardened typhoon multi-purpose hangar, General Santos City, South Cotabato, Phase 2. 26MO00022, for rehabilitation and construction of roads with slips, slopes, collapse, and landslide, dwelling new Panan Bisaya Road, case 1692 plus 975 to case 1693 plus 163, Ayota, North Cotabato. 26MO00447, rehabilitation and construction of roads with slips, slope, collapse, and landslide, Paco Rojas, Arakan Valley Junction, Davao Bukidnon Road, case 1670 plus 707, case 1671 plus 000, Arakan, North Cotabato. And 26MO0196, rehabilitation and construction of roads with slips, slope, collapse, and landslide, Isulan Junction, Ninoy Aquino Road, K1802 plus 880 to K1803 plus 000 to K1803 plus 200 to K1803 plus 260, K1803 plus 590 to K1803 plus 650, K1803 plus 710 to K1803 plus 830 to K1803 plus 965 to K1803 plus 980, Bagumbayan, System Federal. So the outline for the previous conference activities are as follows. So the presentation of the basic contract data will be discussed by Sir Mashud Mr. the Chief of the Planning and Development Division. For the presentation of the requirements of bidding documents. So this will be discussed by Engineer Roberto Gabriel Conrado Capulong of the Planning and Design Division. And to present or discuss the requirements for the documents to be submitted by the bidders, forming part of their technical proposal and financial proposal. This will be discussed by Engineer Janela Mariel Romano and Marpa Malazarte for the electronic submission and receipt of bids. So this will be discussed also by Engineer Vanessa J. Salazar. So overall, finally, the summary of proceedings will be discussed by Engineer Janela Mariel Romano. So if there be any questions or clarifications by our participants or representatives of the contractors who are in attendance, you may raise your questions after the discussions to the Planning and Design Division Chief or Engineer Capulong for clarification. Should there be a so please state your name and the firm that you are representing. Okay. So we request Sir Mashud to proceed with the discussion in the basic contract data.
For the basic contract data for contract ID 25MO0136, construction of multi-purpose building, ABC Hall, Barangay Barurao, Sultan Sabaronis, Maguindanao del Sur. The approved budget for the contract is 4,950,000. Contract duration is 145 calendar days. For contract ID 25MO0219, construction of multi-purpose building, covered court, Barangay Duaminanga, Datupiang, Maguindanao. The approved budget for the contract is 4,950,000 with the contract duration of 120 calendar days. For contract ID 25MO0205, construction of multi-purpose building, covered court, Barangay Pura, Datublas, Sukat, Maguindanao. The approved budget for the contract is 4,950,000 with the contract duration of 120 calendar days. For contract ID 25MO0193, construction of multi-purpose building, covered court, Barangay Gotokan, Municipality of Malindago, Cotabato. The approved budget for the contract is 4,950,000. The contract duration of 120 calendar days. For contract ID 25 MO0194, construction of multipurpose building, covered court, Barangay Nabalawag, Municipality of Nabalawag, Cotabato. The approved budget for the contract is 4,950,000 with a contract duration of 120 calendar days. For contract ID 25 MO0235, concreting of Purok Tres to Tambak Road, Barangay Bagong Bayan, Tulunan, North Cotabato. This is a construction of concrete road with 5.682 lane kilometers. The approved budget for the contract is 96,500,000 with the contract duration of 277 calendar days. And 650,000 with a contract duration of 180 calendar days. For contract ID 25 MO0049, construction of Hardened Typhoon multipurpose hangar, General Santos City, South Cotabato Phase 2. The approved budget for the contract is 48,250,000 with the contract duration of 180 calendar days. The contract ID 26 MO0022, rehabilitation, reconstruction of roads with slips, slope collapse, and landslide, Dualing New Panay Midsayap Road, K1692 plus 975 to K1693 plus 163 at Alyosan, North Cotabato. The approved budget for the contract is 150,838,185 with a contract duration of 270 calendar days. For contract ID 26 MO0047, rehabilitation, reconstruction of roads with slips, slope collapse, and landslide, Paco Rojas, Arakan Valley Junction, Davao Bukidnon Road, K1670 plus 707 to K1671 at Arakan, North Cotabato. The approved budget for the contract is 164,979,295 with a contract duration of 300 calendar days. For contract ID 26 MO0196, rehabilitation, reconstruction of roads with slips, slope collapse, and landslide at Isulan Junction, Ninoy Aquino Road, K1802 plus 880 to K1803, K1803 plus 200 to K1803 plus 260, K1803 plus 592, K1803 plus 650, K1803 plus 710 to K1803 plus 830, K1803 plus 965 to K1803 plus 980 at Bagumbayan Sultan Kudarat. The approved budget for the contract is 141,411,100. Contract duration is 270 calendar days, and that would be also the basic contract data.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For contract IDs 25M00136, construction of multipurpose building, ABC Hall, Barangay Balilao, Sultan sa Bongis, Maguindanao del Sur. Contract ID 25M0048, construction of supplies storage, General Santos City, South Cotabato. And contract ID 25M00049, construction of Hardened Typhoon multipurpose hangar, General Santos City, South Cotabato, Phase 2. The scope of work is as follows. Part A, facilities for the engineer includes the following: provision of field office for the engineer on rental basis. Part B, other general requirements includes the following: permits and clearances, project billboard and signboard, occupational safety and health program, mobilization and demobilization, and geotechnical investigation. Under Part 3, civil, mechanical, electrical, and sanitary plumbing works. Part A, earthworks includes the following: structure excavation, common soil, embankment and structure excavation, and gravel fill. Part B, plain and reinforced concrete works includes the following: structural concrete Class A at 28 days, structural concrete Class B at 28 days, reinforcing steel deform grade 40, reinforcing steel deform grade 60, and formworks and false works. Part C, finishing and other civil works includes the following: soil poisoning, sewer lines work, cold water lines, ceiling works, metal frame, fiber cement board, wall 12mm fiber cement board on metal frame, aluminum frame glass door swing type, aluminum glass window sliding type, aluminum glass windows awning type, aluminum glass windows fixed type, doors flush, doors wood panel, fabricated metal roofing accessory flashings, fabricated metal roofing accessory gutter, pre-painted metal sheets, corrugated type long span, unglazed tiles, cement plaster finish, painting works on masonry and concrete, painting works on steel, metal deck panel, CHP non-load bearing including reinforcing steel 100 millimeters thick, CHP non-load bearing including reinforcing steel 150 millimeters thick, metal structure accessories, structural steel trusses, structural steel purlins, and railing. Under Part B, electrical works includes the following: conduits, boxes, and fittings. For contract ID 25M00219, construction and multipurpose building, covered court, Barangay Dua Minanga, Datupiang, Maguindanao. Contract ID 25M00205, construction and multipurpose building, covered court, Barangay Pura, Dato Blasing Suat, Maguindanao. Contract ID 25M00193, construction and multipurpose building, covered court, Barangay Gotokan, Municipality of Maledegao, Cotabato, and contract ID 25M00194, construction and multipurpose building, covered court, Barangay Nabalawag, Municipality of Nabalawag, Cotabato. The scope of work is as follows. Part B, other general requirements includes the following: project delivered signboard, occupational safety and health program, and mobilization and immobilization. Under Part 3, civil, mechanical, electrical, and sanitary plumbing works, Part A, earthworks includes the following: structure excavation, common soil, embankment from structure excavation, common soil, and gravel fill. Part B, plain and reinforced concrete works includes the following: structural concrete, 3,000 PSI, Class A at 28 days, reinforcing steel deformed grade 40, and reinforcing steel deformed grade 60, and formworks and false works. Part C, finishing and other civil works includes the following: soil poisoning, soil lines work, storm drainage and downspout, plumbing fixtures, cold water lines, ceiling, 4.5 millimeters metal frame and fiber cement. Metal frame, fiber cement board, wall, 4.5 millimeters fiber cement board and metal frame, aluminum glass windows awning type, aluminum glass windows fixed type frames, jam seals, head transoms, and mullions, doors with panel, fabricated metal roofing accessory gutters, flashings, gauge 26, fabricated metal roofing accessory gutters, gauge 24, pre-painted metal sheets, rib type long span, base tiles and trims, and base tiles, cement plaster finish, painting works on masonry and concrete, painting works on wood, painting works on steel, metal deck panel, aluminum cladding, PVC doors and frames, CHP non-load bearing, including reinforcing steel 100 millimeters thick, CHP non-load bearing, including reinforcing steel 150 millimeters thick, metal structure accessories, bolts and rods, metal structure accessories, turnbuckle, metal structure accessories, steel plates, structural steel, and railing. Part D, electrical works includes the following: conduits, boxes, and fittings, wires and wiring devices, panel board, remain branch breakers, and lighting fixtures and lamps. For contract ID 25M00235, completing of Pulong 3 to Tambak Road, Barangay Bagumbayan, Pulunan, Cotabato. The scope of work is as follows. Part A, facilities for the engineering includes the following: provision of field office for the engineer on rental basis, and provision of 4x4 pickup type service vehicle for the engineer on bare rental basis. Part B, other general requirements includes the following: project delivered signboard, occupational safety and health program, traffic management, and mobilization and immobilization. Part C, earthworks includes the following: individual removal of trees, small, 300 to 500 millimeters in diameter, individual removal of structures and obstruction, removal of structures and obstruction concrete, removal of actual structures and obstruction, 150 millimeters thick PCCP unreinforced, removal of actual structures and obstruction, 280 millimeters thick PCCP unreinforced, removal of existing guardrails, removal of existing guardrail posts, removal of existing road signs, surplus common excavation, structure excavation, common soil, foundation fill, pipe culverts and drain excavation, common soil, embankment from roadway excavation, common soil, and subgrade preparation, common material. Part D, subbase and base course includes the following: aggregate subbase course. Part E, surface courses includes the following: gravel surface course, Portland cement concrete pavement unreinforced, 150 millimeters thick at 14 days. Portland cement concrete pavement unreinforced, 280 millimeters thick at 14 days. Part F, bridge construction includes the following: reinforcing steel, deformed grade 40, structural concrete, Class B at 21 MPa, structural concrete, Class A at 28 days, and lean concrete, Class B. Part G, drainage and slope protection structures includes the following: pipe culverts, 910 millimeters in diameter, Class 4 RCPC, pipe culverts 1,220 millimeters in diameter, Class 4 RCPC, grouted riprap Class A, and stone masonry. Part H, miscellaneous structures, includes the following: installation of metal guardrail, metal beam, including posts, single double beam, warning sign 600 by 600 millimeters in diameter, W6-1B, pedestrian and school signs, pedestrian crossing ahead. Warning sign 600 by 600 millimeters, W6-2B, pedestrian and school signs, children crossing. Warning sign 600 millimeters in diameter, W1-3A, horizontal alignment, curve left or right. Warning sign 600 millimeters in diameter, W1-4A, horizontal alignment, reverse curve left or right. Regulatory sign 600 millimeters in diameter, R3-16A, prohibitive or restrictive signs, prohibition of overtaking. Hazard markers 450 by 600 millimeters, chevron signs, reflectorized thermoplastic pavement markings white, and reflectorized thermoplastic pavement markings yellow. For contract ID 26M00022, rehabilitation, reconstruction of roads with slips, slope collapse, and landslide, Dualing New Panay Minsaya Road from K1692 plus 975 to K1693 plus 163, Alios and North Cotabato. Contract ID 26M00047, rehabilitation, reconstruction of roads with slips, slope collapse, and landslide, Paco Rojas Alacan Valley to Junction Davao Junction Codnon Road, K1670 plus 707 to K1671 plus 000, Alacan North Cotabato, and contract ID 26M00196, rehabilitation, reconstruction of roads with slips, slope collapse, and landslide, Isulan Junction Ninoy Aquino Road from K1802 plus 880 to K1803 plus 000, K1803 plus 200 to K1803 plus 260, K1803 plus 590 to K1803 plus 650, K1803 plus 710 to K1803 plus 830, K1803 plus 965 to K1803 plus 980, Bagumbayan, Sultan Kudarat. The scope of work is as follows. Part A, facilities for the engineer, includes the following: provision of field office for the engineer, rental basis, and provision of 4x4 pickup type service vehicle for the engineer on their rental basis. Part B, other general requirements, includes the following: project billboard signboard, occupational safety and health program, traffic management, and mobilization and demobilization. Part C, earthworks, includes the following: removal of actual structures and obstruction, 150 millimeters thick PCCP unreinforced, removal of actual structures and obstruction, 280 millimeters thick PCCP unreinforced, structure excavation common soil, foundation fill, embankment from roadway excavation common soil, embankment from borrow common soil, and subway preparation common material. Part D, subbase and base course, includes the following: aggregate subbase course. Part E, surface courses, includes the following: Portland cement concrete pavement unreinforced, 150 millimeters thick at 14 days, and Portland cement concrete pavement unreinforced, 280 millimeters thick at 14 days. Part F, bridge construction, includes the following: reinforcing steel deformed grade 40, structural concrete class B at 20.68 MPa, structural concrete class A at 28 days, and lean concrete class B at 16.5 MPa. Part G, drainage and slope protection structures, includes the following: grouted riprap class A, stone masonry, mechanically stabilized earth, MSE retaining walls, and select granular backfill. That would be all of them, Chair.
Thank you, Engineer Capulong, for the documents to be submitted by the bidders, form of bid, the technical proposal, and the financial proposal. May we hear from engineers Romano, Malazarte, and Salazar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will be discussing the technical requirements. First, for the first bid at the vote, which shall contain the following technical documents. First, the field check certificate of registration for platinum membership in accordance with section 20 of the Act. Second is the pickup license and registration and in case of changes. The statement of all its ongoing government and private contracts, including contracts awarded but not yet started, if any, whether similar or not similar in nature and complexity to the funds represented. Fourth, the statement of the bidders SLCC in accordance with ITV clause 5.5. The SLCC shall be supported by an owner's certificate of financial acceptance issued to the project owner other than the contractor, or a final rating of at least satisfactory industry test or a similar performance in monitoring system. In case of contracts with the project sector and equivalent documents should be sent. Fifth is the NFCC computation in accordance with ITB clause 510(6). Sixth is the joint venture of the United and lastly, the basic in the prescribed form and amount in accordance with ITB clause 16 and the relating period under ITB clause 15. Also, additional reminder, all prospective bidders are reminded that they must declare at least one completed contract to serve as their single largest completed. The declared SLCC must be consistent with and supported by the records reflected in this resolution. In addition, the net financial contracting capacity or the NFCC must be consistent with the completed contracts with type of consideration. The financial capacity is equal with the NFCC which is supported by the bidder's actual completed projects as reported in the CWA, and all documents must be verified. This requirement are pursuant to RA 12009, non-compliance to misrepresentation shall result in disqualification and may subject to bidder sanctions under RA 12009. Further discussion for the Department Order number 166, series of 2024, the revised guideline for the issuance of certificate of completion and the certificate of final acceptance to locally funded. For the procurement of infrastructure projects, following warranty shall be. From the time project construction commenced up to final acceptance, the contractor should assume full responsibility for the following. Any damage or destruction of the works, except those occasioned by force and work, safety, protection, security, and convenience of its personnel, third parties, and the public at large, as well as the works, equipment, installation, and the like to be affected by its. Section 90.2.2, 1 year from project completion of the final acceptance for the defects period. The contractor shall undertake the repair works at its own expense of any damage to the infrastructure on account of the use of materials of inferior quality, defect in the construction, or due to any violation of the terms of within 90 calendar days from the time the full completion order to undertake repair. In case of failure or refusal to comply with this date, the procuring entity shall undertake such repair works and shall be entitled to full reimbursement of expenses incurred into fund. The defects liability period shall be covered by the performance security of the contractor required in section 68 of this accounts. We shall guarantee that the contractor performs its responsibilities stated in the immediately preceding sections. If the contractor fails to comply with its obligations under section 19.2, the procuring entity shall forfeit its performance security, subject its properties to attachment or garnishment proceedings, and may impose the appropriate penalty under sections 99, 100, and 101 of IRA. All payables of the GOP in its favor shall be offset by recovery.
Good morning, everyone. For the technical requirements to be submitted by the prospective bidders. First is the organizational chart for the contract to be bid signed by the authorized managing officer. Second is the contractor's list of key personnel. So these are the project manager, DPWH accredited contractors project engineer, DPWH accredited contractors materials engineer, construction safety officer B, and construction foreman. For project manager, can include a copy of the ID card. For project engineer, only accredited project engineers may be assigned to DPWH projects subject to the limits given in Department Order number 148, series of 2024. And for construction of buildings and bridges, contractors shall assign DPWH accredited project engineers in accordance with Department Order number 227, series of 2024. And shall attach certificate of accreditation or report of rate. For materials engineer, must be DPWH accredited materials engineer. Attach certificate of accreditation. For safety officer three, with mandatory 40-hour basic crash training course applicable to the industry and additional 48 hours of advanced occupational safety training relevant to the industry as required by the DOLE. Attached certificate of training for safety officer three. Pledged personnel should not hold more than one position or designation per project. Attach also or submit a copy of professional tax receipt for the current year for the assigned key person. So all pledged personnel should submit their respective qualifications and experience data which their work experience is similar to the project being procured, and this personnel must meet the required minimum years experience set in the data sheets. Other pertinent documents, latest general information sheet reflecting the beneficial ownership information duly received by the Securities and Exchange for corporations and sworn affidavit of eligibility and beneficial ownership in accordance with Section 82 of the implementing rules and regulations of RA number 12009 and PhilJEP's advisory number 2025-007. So all bidders shall be required to submit a sworn disclosure of relation and beneficial ownership, clearly identifying the natural persons who ultimately own, control, or benefit from the bidding entity, whether directly or indirectly, through shareholding, voting rights, contractual arrangement, or other means of control in accordance with Section 81.1 of the IRR of RA number 1200. So attach also a copy of certification of ISO or its latest applicable version in accordance with Department Order number 110 series of 2024. So the list of contractors who major equipment unit pledge to be used for the project must be supported by proof of ownership if it is owned or for lease agreement. So for lease equipment, a lease contract and certification or statement of availability of equipment should be submitted by the lessor or owner as the pledger of the equipment, stating that the equipment will be available during post-qualification and for the whole duration of the project, duly signed and authorized. For owned equipment, certification or statement of availability of equipment should be submitted as the owner of the equipment, stating that the equipment will be available during post-qualification for the whole duration of the project, duly signed and authorized. For purchase agreement, the description of the equipment to be purchased must be indicated in the document. The pledged vehicles purchased by the bidder, contractor, or covered by purchase agreement must be registered under the name of the proprietor or the company within 1 year from the execution of the agreement. Vehicles that remain unregistered under the specified name within 1 year of execution of the deed of sale will be deemed non-responsible. So additional information requirement of pledged vehicle. Pledged vehicle should be validly insured under policy under the compulsory third-party liability and should have a valid registration with the Land Transportation Office on the day of opening of bids. Bidders must attach the following in their submitted bid: copy of the LPO official receipt, certificate of registration of their pledged vehicle registered under the name of proprietor or the company, and copy of the proof of insurance of the pledged vehicle under the compulsory third-party liability. So in all cases, the bidder should present the original of the documents during post-qualification. So all documents in support of the ownership of equipment pledge and all other documents photocopied from the original must be pure, readable, and certified as true copies. Another requirement is omnibus sworn statement by the prospective bidder in the form prescribed by the GPPB, duly signed and authorized. Minimum testing materials equipment. Contractors are required for the inclusion of the minimum materials testing equipment in the technical component of the bid in compliance with Department Order number 11 series of 2017. So contractors shall attach a copy of the inspection report and certification from DPWH. Next is the sworn statement, conflict of interest by the prospective bidder or its authorized representative, duly signed and authorized. And last is the contractor certification or affidavit of key personnel as to Department Order number 9 series of 2012, duly signed and authorized. So for the technical requirements.
Good morning, everyone. I will discuss the financial requirements to be submitted by the prospective bidders. First is the bid form. Must be in accordance with the form prescribed in section 9 of bidding forms. Contractors must write the original total price of bids written in figures and units. The contractor has a discount offer. Please write the methodology of your application and indicate the new bid amount written in figures and units. For the discounts offered, it will be deducted on the original bid amount and not on the ABC, and the amount written in words will prevail. Second is the bid prices in the bill of quantities. It consists of bid prices written in figures and in words. Third is the detailed estimates. It includes summary sheets indicating the unit prices of construction materials, labor rates, and equipment rental used, indicating also the direct and indirect costs and summing up with the. Fourth is the quarterly or monthly cash flow and payment schedule. There is also a prescribed form in section 9 of bidding forms. And please take note that for the facilities for the engineer, the provision of 4x4 pickup type service for the civil engineer on the rental basis will be the same as stated in the bidding documents. The financial proposal that exceed the ABC indicated shall be rejected, and any missing documents on the mentioned checklist is ground for outright rejection of the bid. Next is the Department Order number 110, series of 2024, the implementation of ISO 9001-2015 certification requirement for large A, medium A, and medium B contractors in the procurement of infrastructures projects of the department. Therefore, all projects greater than 13 million are required to attach the ISO 9000-2015 certification to be submitted in technical documents. For the other pertinent issues, contractor's bid must be submitted in one original copy as a photocopies. Likewise, the same must be book bounded and properly labeled, tagged, and paginated as per the O number 90 series of 2000. And for those contractors who will use SPA in submission of bid, please be informed that we will only acknowledge it if there is a corresponding email of the said SPA from the official email address of the contractors. For the requirements of the notice of award, first is the notice with your son conformeth thereon, the required performance security, the required credit line or cash deposit certificate if applicable, the required contractors all risk insurance, the precedence diagram method, manpower schedule, equipment utilization schedule, project organization chart, construction method, and construction safety and health program approved by the DOLE. Next, the three-strike policy of the department. The provision governing the imposition of administrative sanctions for contractors to commit acts which can defeat the purpose of competitive bidding, such as habitually withdrawing from bidding, submitting late bids, or patently insufficient bid for at least 3 times within a year except for valid reasons. I will also discuss the electronic submission and receipt of bids for the procurement of civil work contracts. For the preparation and submission of bids, prior to the deadline of submission of bids, the bidder shall send a copy of the official receipt of purchase of bidding documents in PDF format. An auto-reply email shall be sent to the bidder after successfully sending an official receipt to the proper email address. Bidders must prepare the electronic bid in a password-protective archive format and submit it to the email address identified in the invitation to bid and bid data sheet. The submitted electronic bid shall contain 2 files, the technical and financial proposal, both in a password-protective archive format. Bidders must submit their electronic bid using the registered email address in CWA. All files in technical and financial proposal must be in PDF format. and the password protective archive format submitted must be opened using the password provided by the bidder and must be successfully opened or accessed by the bank. Bidder shall be given a maximum of 3 attempts for a period of 15 minutes, whichever comes first to provide the correct password, except in unforeseen justifiable circumstances. Otherwise, the bidder shall be disqualified and may be also subjected to the sanctions under Law number 17, series of 2015, the three-strike policy as may be warranted under the circumstances. The official email address of our office is electronicbids_r12@dpwh.gov.ph. That would be.
Thank you, Engineers Romano, Malazarte, and Salazar. So before we end our proceedings, is there any clarifications? The interested contractors, state your name and your company.
We asked the location of the portion part of the technical requirements or checklist. Doon sa bibuksan ba din. Kasi we have an experience last before na mali yung checklist ng ano lang, parang may iba pang based on checklist talaga na yun yung sunod. Na ano kami doon. Medyo nandito kami doon.
Sa
We have the
checklist.
checklist. I think binasa nung naka-lady in the room. Kanina sa
Technical report. For the checklist po, ma'am, yung bid docs po na recent, ma'am, attach na rin na checklist. Sa pinakadulo po ng bid docs is the recent na rin. Para po ma-check ninyo na recent siya, ma'am, yun po yung may sworn affidavit of beneficial ownership. Opo, yun po yung recent na addition sa same thing.
Are there any concerns? Madam?
I'm Christine from Rules of Construction. As ko lang po yung, we will be sending, financial assessment documents through PDF form. One file na po ba siya for different pag-send, isang pag-send yung,
Sa electronic.
Electronic po kayo, ma'am.
hindi naman, hindi.
Kung hindi, opo, dito lang. Kung electronic, from the start, electronic na po kayo.
Also, sa paper size po, A4. Thank you.
Then, tatlo po na copy, mga original, copy one.
One more thing. So soft copy. So every project, syempre may 3 set tayo, original and the copy. So yung US German natin, pamiliwan lang.
Electronic po kayo, ma'am, or manual na
Submit.
Anong manual, wala na pong PDF. Oo.
Just na yung tabi. Just yung tabi.
Yung sa tabi pa po, mga yung sa tabi po na hindi, kailangan po, required po yun. Required po yun siya na may tapos.
May question pa po. There being no other verifications made. So we call on Engineer Romano for the summary of proceedings, including bid bulletins to be issued, if any.
Thank you, Sir. So I will be discussing the summary of proceedings for today's pre-bid conference for 11 civil works contracts. The basic contract data, including the contract description, ABC and duration, was discussed by the Chief of the Planning and Design Division, Engineer Mashur Luwastardo. The requirements of bidding documents, specifically stating the items included in the bill of quantities, as was discussed by Engineer Roberto Gabriel Conyado Capulong from the Planning and Design Division. The documents to be submitted by the bidders in the technical proposal. This was discussed by yours truly, Engineer Janela Mariano. And the other documents was also discussed by Engineer Marco Manazarte. For the documents to be submitted in the financial proposal, as well as the guidelines for the electronic submission and receipt of bids, was discussed by Engineer Vanessa Jade Salazar. So to recap the raised concerns, from the representative of Carson Construction and Supply, she inquired about the checklist included in the bidding document. So the bidders are reminded that the recent checklist is included in the bidding document, specifically in the last part of the bidding document. And the bidders who will opt for the electronic submission should start the process of the dropping of bids as electronic submission, but if it is manual submission, you are required to submit 3 copies, 1 original, 1 copy 1, 1 copy 2, emphasizing also the importance of placing the tabbing for the specific documents, and to be guided, you can check the checklist attached for the tabbing. And the deadline of the bid submission is on July 9, 2026 at 10 a.m. Date bids shall not be accepted, and the bid opening shall be on the same date, July 9, 2026 at 10:30 in the morning, here at the DPWH Regional Office 12 Conference. Any revisions or changes in the discussed contracts will be reflected in the issued bid if there will be any. That would be all.
So there being no other issues, clarification or other concerns, may we hear the pleasure of the group.
Not very fortunate. So negotiations, should there be no more other concern or issue from the contractor, you have an issue? So with that, I would like to move for the adjournment of this previous conference.
It has been moved and duly seconded. This pre-bid conference is hereby adjourned.
Tapos nito.